Lucas Almeida was a man who had it all. At 35, he was a successful businessman, with a fortune built in a highly competitive industry. His mansion, located in one of the city's most luxurious neighborhoods, was a testament to his triumph. Large windows, exquisite decor, and a lush garden. But despite all the glitz and glamour, there was a shadow that hung over his life. Every day, Lucas woke up in a large room, surrounded by expensive objects and comforts. However, when he looked out the window, he felt somewhat disconnected from the world outside. He saw children playing in the streets and families struggling to survive, but life in his bubble of wealth seemed distant and almost unreal. The connection he had to his success was fragile, as if the realization of his dreams had come at a high cost. After a long day of meetings and financial decisions, Lucas would often return home at night to an oppressive silence. Parties and social events never filled the void he felt, and he often wondered if all the effort was really worth it. Success, which should have been a source of pride, felt more like a prison. That night, upon returning from a gala event, Lucas felt a familiar uneasiness. The bright lights and festive music could not dispel the loneliness that accompanied him. When he opened the door to the mansion, an unexpected scene awaited him. Something that would change his life forever was about to happen. As he crossed the threshold of his house, Lucas was abruptly interrupted by a scene he had not expected to find. At his door, sitting in a dark corner, were two twins, a girl and a boy, with sad and uncertain looks on their faces. The yellowish light from the foyer illuminated their dirty and frightened faces, revealing the vulnerability that no expensive toy or designer clothes could hide. Lucas stopped, surprised and confused. His heart raced as he wondered how these children, probably no more than 8 years old, had gotten there. The boy with curly hair was pulling on his sister's hand, who had big, expressive eyes, looking even more scared. Lucas, for a moment, froze, his brain struggling to process the situation. "Please, sir, we're lost," the girl finally whispered, her trembling voice nearly choked with fear. Her plea echoed in his mind, stirring memories of his own childhood, when he too had felt lost, albeit for different reasons. Hesitation consumed him. What should he do? He could simply close the door and return to the comfort of his luxurious life. Or he could get involved and somehow help these tiny humans. The thought of opening himself up to the unknown terrified him, but something inside him screamed for action. As the chill began to creep into the night air, Lucas felt a surge of impulse. He took a deep breath, the decision beginning to form in his mind. This was a chance to do something different, to change not only the twins' lives, but his own as well. Lucas hesitated for a moment, his thoughts racing. What would people say? How could he just bring those children into his mansion? But looking at Aisha and Kai's faces, the fear and insecurity that framed their expressions was a stronger call than any criticism he could face. Compassion began to well up in his heart, challenging the selfishness that had ruled him for so long. "Come on in," Lucas said, his voice firm but hesitant. He opened the door, gesturing for the twins to enter. Aisha and Kai exchanged surprised looks, as if they couldn't believe someone was offering to help. Slowly, they moved forward, stepping into the warmth of the house and out of the chill of the night. As soon as the door closed behind them, a wave of responsibility washed over Lucas. He had no experience caring for children, much less dealing with the trauma they likely carried. The first task was simple: get them something to eat. He walked to the kitchen, still trying to process the gravity of the situation. As he prepared a quick snack, he heard the twins whispering to each other, their voices soft and anxious. Aisha finally approached, her eyes shining with hope. "Thank you, sir. We haven't eaten in days." Those words hit Lucas like a punch to the gut. The reality of their lives contrasted starkly with his own, full of excess and waste. With the food served, the twins devoured their sandwiches, some color returning to their faces. Lucas sat at the table, watching them as they ate. Part of him was happy to see them nourished, but another part wondered how they had ended up here, so alone and vulnerable. After the meal, Lucas decided he needed to know more about them. "How did you get here?" he asked, trying to be kind. Aisha glanced at Kai before answering. "We were left alone. No one cared about us." Her words cut Lucas deeply, making him feel the pain of rejection and loneliness the twins faced daily. He realized that this was not just a simple meeting. This was a chance for transformation, not only for the children, but also for himself. The relationship between Lucas and the twins began to develop slowly over the next few days. Each morning, he woke up with the expectation of seeing them again, their innocent laughter breaking the silence that had previously dominated his mansion. He made sure to integrate them into his routine, taking Aisha and Kai to school, and little by little, he began to notice the small joys that came with this new role as protector. But the adjustment was not easy. Aisha and Kai, despite their gratitude, carried deep-seated fears and insecurities. At school, they faced disapproving looks and, in some cases, even mockery. On one occasion, Lucas had to intervene when a group of children began to laugh at the twins during recess. His blood boiled as he watched the scene, a distant echo of his own experiences of bullying as a child. "You have no right to treat them like this," he shouted, the tone of his voice echoing across the schoolyard. The children fell silent, surprised at the presence of a caring adult. Aisha looked at Lucas with gratitude, but Kai's expression was more complex. There was a glimmer of hope mixed with fear. Lucas knew he needed to do more than just intervene in bullying situations. He needed to teach the twins that they were worthy of respect and love. Meanwhile, at home, Lucas faced criticism from friends and family. "Why are you hanging around those kids? They're not in your class," one friend said, rolling his eyes. These comments hurt, but they also motivated him to keep going. The thought of abandoning Aisha and Kai never crossed his mind, because the connection he was forming with them was stronger than any external judgment. As the days turned into weeks, the family dynamic began to blossom. Lucas began to open up to the twins about his own struggles, and Aisha and Kai began to share their dreams and aspirations as well. The trust they were building became a refuge for all of them, a safe haven in the midst of life's storms. But as their connection deepened, Lucas couldn't ignore the shadow of pain that still loomed over them. He knew that to truly help, he needed to understand the roots of the painful experiences Aisha and Kai carried. As the days passed, Lucas began to realize that his conversations with Aisha and Kai were more than just conversations. They were windows into a world he had never known. They shared stories about their life experiences, full of challenges that left him perplexed. The twins' courage in the face of so much hardship inspired him in ways he never imagined possible. One morning, while they were having breakfast, Lucas decided to open up. "You know, when I was a kid, I had a hard time too," he began, looking into Aisha's curious eyes. "I felt alone, like no one cared." Aisha and Kai listened intently, and Lucas sensed that this moment was important for all of them. He spoke about the struggles he faced growing up in a modest family, about the dreams he had and the hardships he overcame. The children responded with empathy, their expressions changing as he shared. This exchange of vulnerability made Lucas realize that despite their differences, there was a common thread that united them: the search for acceptance and love. However, the twins' school life continued to be a battleground. One day, when picking them up from school, Lucas noticed that Aisha was visibly down. She had been the butt of jokes again. Seeing her like this, something inside him clicked. Lucas could no longer be a bystander in their lives. He needed to become an active advocate. He was determined to find ways to support Aisha and Kai not only at home, but also in the school environment. It would be a challenge, but Lucas knew that the courage in children was contagious, and he was willing to fight for them. Lucas's awakening was not just a personal transformation, but the beginning of a collective journey of overcoming. The atmosphere at Aisha and Kai's school was becoming increasingly tense. Lucas knew he needed to take action before things got worse. After a few conversations with the twins, he decided it was time to get directly involved. With Aisha and Kai's support, he planned a meeting with the teachers and the principal to discuss the treatment the children were receiving. On the day of the meeting, Lucas was nervous but determined. He dressed in his best suit, trying to project an image of professionalism, even though he knew his true strength came from his commitment to the twins. When he entered the room, he found himself surrounded by educators who seemed oblivious to what was really going on with their students. Bravely, Lucas explained the situation. Aisha and Kai can't continue to be bullied. We need a safe environment for all children, regardless of their background, he said, his voice firm but thick with emotion. The teachers listened, but there was an air of resistance from some of them, who seemed to think the situation wasn't as serious as he described. Tensions rose when one of the teachers, a burly man, questioned Lucas. "And what do you know about what they're going through? You're just a millionaire who decided to help." The words cut like a blade, making Lucas hesitate. The room was silent, and he realized he had to defend himself. "I may not know all of their struggles, but that doesn't diminish how I feel for them," Lucas replied, the passion in his voice growing. "No one should have to go through what they're going through. It's our responsibility as adults to protect them." The challenge in his words reverberated around the room, and though there was still distrust, something had changed. However, Lucas's true test came the next day. When he picked up Aisha and Kai from school, he found a chaotic scene. A group of children surrounded Aisha, laughing and hurling insults. Lucas's heart raced, and without thinking, he ran toward the commotion. "Enough!" he shouted, facing the bullies. Eyes turned to him, and the atmosphere was thick with tension. Lucas, with adrenaline pumping, found himself fighting not only for Aisha's protection, but for his own transformation. There, in that moment, he became a defender, not only of the children, but of a new life he was choosing. The confrontation at school was a turning point in Lucas's life. The energy of the moment enveloped him like a blanket, making him realize that he was no longer just caring for Aisha and Kai. He was transforming himself, becoming part of something bigger. Aisha's grateful gaze and Kai's determined expression inspired him to keep going. In the days that followed, Lucas decided he couldn't just be an advocate in times of crisis. He began planning something more meaningful, a foundation dedicated to helping vulnerable children like Aisha and Kai. He wanted to create a space where they could feel safe, supported, and most importantly, valued. The idea began to take shape in her mind, and as she discussed it with Aisha and Kai, she realized that they too dreamed of a better future. Together, they began to create a project they would call Light of Hope, where they could provide tutoring, recreational activities, and emotional support to children in their communities. As the foundation came to life, Lucas felt more alive than ever. He remembered his own childhood experiences and how he had overcome challenges. Through his new children, as he began to refer to Aisha and Kai, he found renewed purpose. On the night of the foundation's launch, Lucas was nervous but excited. Aisha and Kai were by his side, full of energy and anticipation. They had become a true family, and the love they had cultivated over the months had bonded them unbreakably. At that moment, Lucas was no longer the lonely millionaire who felt trapped in his mansion. He had found a path that not only illuminated his life, but also the lives of countless children. He realized that true wealth lay in the ability to make a difference. The launch of the Light of Hope Foundation was a resounding success. The room was filled with people from friends and family to community members who supported the cause. Lucas gave an emotional speech, sharing his journey and the importance of caring for vulnerable children. He spoke about Aisha and Kai, using their stories as examples of what the foundation aims to achieve. Lucas's words resonated throughout the room, and many were visibly moved. There was something powerful in the way he spoke about the transformation that had occurred not only in his life, but in the lives of the twins. He mentioned that the foundation was not just a project, but a movement to change lives, providing children like Aisha and Kai with opportunities that once seemed impossible. With financial support from the community and generous donations, the foundation was able to establish a welcoming space where children could learn, play, and most importantly, feel safe. Lucas and the twins began working together to create an environment that reflected the love and acceptance they had found in each other. Soon, Light of Hope became a neighborhood landmark. Children came from all over to participate in activities and take advantage of mentoring programs. Aisha and Kai, now more confident, took on leadership roles in the foundation, helping to organize events and mentor other children. However, the path was not without its challenges. Lucas faced resistance from some members of the community who did not believe that children from humble backgrounds deserved such attention. However, instead of backing down, Lucas used this criticism to fuel his determination. He organized awareness events and invited doubters to come and see for themselves the positive impact the foundation was having. The twins also became role models for resilience, inspiring others to join the cause. The connection Lucas had created with Aisha and Kai had not only changed their lives, but was now shaping a new generation. With every smile and every story of overcoming that emerged in Luz de Esperanza, Lucas knew he was fulfilling his mission. He was no longer a lonely man. Now, he was part of a community united by love and hope.